Hello everybody, lovely to see you all. It's Elliot Jaffor Woodruff here from Bedford, the UK. Bedford is famous for being halfway between Cambridge and Oxford. This week I'll be showing you my course era music production assignment for week 2. That's perform the important editing tasks in your DAW, including trim, separate, crossfade, merge grid, cycle, markers, zoom, name and color, and this is in Sonar X2. First up we have trim. If we look at the first audio track, you see that the audio doesn't really begin until measure 9. So we want to trim the excess on either side. First, select your Smart tool in the top left-hand corner. Place the cursor over the edge of the audio track, and when that little rectangle appears, you left-click and you can pull that into the audio. And I'll do the same on the other side. This is also known as an edge edit, and it just tidies up your workspace. Next up we have separate. Sometimes we want to split a single audio track into two separate segments so we can independently manipulate each segment. Simply left click at the point where you want the split to occur, right click, select split, OK, and you now have two separate audio segments on the same track. I'm going to move this segment up to the next track and we'll zoom in so I can show you a crossfade. Okay, we can see on this track where the transition occurs from one segment to another, there's an abrupt change in amplitude from high to low. And that's going to sound, it's going to sound abrupt, and there's usually an audible click at the transition. Listen carefully. Okay, so we want to smooth out that transition, and we do that using a crossfade. So first check that auto crossfade is on. We go to options and it is on. Then we choose the Smart tool. We place the Smart tool just at the split between the two segments. And when that little rectangle appears again, we can drag the Smart tool across. Notice how the X unfolds as we do so. Within that X pane, the amplitude is attenuated to create a smooth transition between the two segments. Okay, now that I've got that crossfade in, I want to bounce these two segments down to a single audio track. Choose select. This left side's already selected, so I simply choose the right segment by Control left click. And then I right click and choose bounce to clips down here. Select, and it's bounced down to a single uniform track. Okay, next up is the grid. The grid is this square icon. Looks like a Indian dream catcher, and what the grid effectively does is quantizes my workspace so that wherever I place my cursor, it's going to move in increments defined within this rectangular blue menu. You right click on that and you can select whole, and that means it's going to move by increments of a whole measure. Similarly, if I want to move my audio, it's going to move by increments of a whole measure as defined by this in this box here. It simply snaps into place. It's a very useful feature. Okay, sometimes we want to isolate a short segment of audio. Perhaps we're transcribing. We need to hear this segment over and over again. So we select the loop feature, sometimes known as cycle. That's up here. We click it and we just have to adjust these the yellow bar so it encompasses the segment that we want to hear. We play that. It's just going to loop over and over. Okay. Sometimes we want to put a mark in this pane up here. Perhaps this is a significant entry, so we simply left click on that to get the cursor over it. Then we right click and do insert marker. And I'll just call that chorus. Okay, and now we see the word chorus appears at the top here. It's a handy reference point. I can also jump to it. Okay, in terms of zooming capabilities, in the bottom right hand corner on the horizontal axis, you have the horizontal zoom. On the vertical axis, you have the vertical zoom. Nothing mysterious about that. Okay, if we want to change the name of an instrument, we go over to the track pane. Next to track 1, we have the clarinet. You just double click on the text menu, on the text box, and change it as you wish, enter, and there you go. If I want to change the color of the clarinet, I go to this menu on the left, pop it out, go to track, move down to color, and right click for the drop down menu, select yellow. And it automatically defaults to the clarinet because that was pre-selected. Okay, there you have the yellow clarinet. I'd like to thank you for your time. It's been a steep learning curve for me, both in terms of screencasting and in terms of DAWs. So I hope you learned something from it. Thanks for your patience, and I look forward to seeing you next week.